Hello, I'm Jackson Bird, and today I am reviewing Season 1 of Netflix's A Series of Unfortunate Events. Before we get started, this review will contain spoilers. If you don't want to be spoiled by the vexatiously forlorn details of this miserable television series, look away now. Watch a different video, perhaps one of cheerful preteens reacting to chubby bunnies. This review will be nothing but despair. A word which here means hopeless. Not only because of the hopelessness of the story of the Baudelaire orphans, but because of my hopeless prospects of maintaining this visage of frustrating disappointment when in fact this adaptation made me really happy. Perhaps I am a sadist, but I loved every moment of this series. I do remain uncertain how well it will appeal to people who are not Snicket superfans, but those of us who are really satisfied. At least like the 4 people who responded to my tweet asking how they liked it. Ahead of watching the series, I reread books 1 through 4 for the first time since, high school, which means I was able to tell immediately when the dialogue veered from the text of the books. It mostly changed to fit the reworking of added plot lines or to fulfill other necessary book-to-film tweaks, but I really loved small additions, like when Sunny suggests that they take an Uber, or when Uncle Monty says that the dissonant tortoises can only be soothed by early sonic youth. And I don't know if I liked this, but when Count Olaf is reminiscing with Dr. Orwell and he says, "You, me, an evil scheme, a little death," and she responds, "La petite Mohr." Ah! In case you're unaware, La petite Mohr is a fancy pants euphemism for an orgasm. So that's what they were talking about. Yeah. We also got more than a few call-outs to later books. For example, rhyming Count Olaf with rice pilaf becomes a recurring joke in these episodes, but that rhyme didn't figure into the books until Isadora Duncan wrote it in a couplet in the 5th book. Some lines were also updated to fit current social issues, or maybe just match Daniel Handler's real-life radicalism in a passing way that he couldn't have gotten away with in the text of children's books. Like when Violet goes out of her way to point out that having a tattoo is perfectly normal. Or when Lemony Snicket lays the sarcasm on hard when he says nothing sinister has ever come from the real estate market. Or, of course, when Sir exclaims earnestly, "There's nothing villainous about free healthcare." Right there with you, sir. Got a few people in DC I'd like you to shout that at. Overall, the series managed to visualize and expand on a lot that was simply implied in the first 4 books. We get to see how Olaf schemed his way into each disguise, and we find out that the employees at the Lucky Smells lumber mill were actually hypnotized. I'm actually not sure if that was implied in the books or if it's just a total change, but it makes a lot of sense, and it actually gives them more agency and liberation in the end, which is super cool. Workers' rights, man. The biggest implied theme that was explicitly incorporated, of course, is the inclusion of VFD. We don't learn about VFD and its enigmatic details until the later books, or more clearly until you've read the expanded Snicket universe, but Netflix made a smart decision to incorporate VFD right away. I think it was a good call because these are, after all, middle grade books. An extra plotline keeps older audiences more engaged. I think it also provides most of the characters with clearer motivation, and gives the entire series a nice arc that wasn't visible in the books until much later on. Plus, the plot twist at the end of episode 7 was so good. Maybe smarter people than me saw it coming, but I did not see it coming, and I freaked out. Very freaking devilish. It also means that we get gems like the VFD symbol plastered everywhere. One of my favorites that I caught was in the wood chips when Violet was chopping wood in the 2nd episode. There are so many tiny details like that that I'm sure I have missed. Let me know in the comments all the ones that you saw. Don't bother telling me about the Sovaldi Code, though. For the uninformed, the Sovaldi Code was created by Gustav Sovaldi. Yes, that same Gustav that we met in the Netflix series. It's initiated by text or dialogue mentioning the ringing of bells, and it's succeeded by a hidden code word every 11 words. Now, having noticed a lot of doorbells and ringing phones, not to mention the seemingly superfluous mention of ringing at various points, I went back and counted every 11 words every time ringing happened or was mentioned, and guess what? Nothing. There's nothing. There's absolutely nothing. There is no Sovaldi Code hidden in the dialogue of the Netflix series. I'm officially disappointed. Netflix, here is your free idea for season 2. Knowing that Lemony Snicket is an active character and not just the narrator also leads to amazing lines. Like when the hook-handed man offers Count Olaf a selection of buttercream, hint of nutmeg, and lemony cakes, Count Olaf can reply, "I told you never to say that word in front of me." Which is great. I got too much of a kick out of that line. That said, here and there decisions did seem a bit weird. I didn't appreciate how slowly the kids seem to figure out Olaf's schemes compared to the books, and having them escape to Lucky Smells of their own volition rather than having them be sent there makes it a lot less believable that they would actually stay and work there voluntarily, even if they were trying to do some investigating. But let's move on to the cast. cast. A word which here means the actors who play the roles of the characters, and not the plaster that you put on your arm after you break it. First off, I loved Presley Smith as Sonny. What a talented baby! I mean, I know there was CGI for a lot of it, but even apart from that, it's one talented baby. It did take a few episodes for me to be okay with how they handled Sonny speaking, but it eventually grew on me. I think the combination of genius baby Presley Smith and the vocally formidable donations from Tara Strong was a great move. But why did Sonny's captions have to be lime green? That just really threw off the whole aesthetic for me. Some people have said that they didn't think Neil Patrick Harris was villainous enough as plain old Count Olaf, but they started really liking him when he got into the other disguises. I personally loved him the whole time. I just don't think that Count Olaf is a cunning villain. It's not that Count Olaf is especially cunning, it's that the rest of the world, except for the Baudelaires, is just as dim-witted as he is. He's so incompetent that it would be hilarious if it weren't so terrifying. Quick shoutouts, I loved seeing Rhys Darby and Joan Cusack and Asif Manvi. Love all of them. On the note of Asif Manvi, let's move on to SJW, or The Social Justice Watch. So unless you count Mr. Poe as a main character, none of the mains are people of color. But tons of the supporting cast are. It was obvious that they made a concerted effort to be racially diverse, and I think they pulled it off pretty well. I mean, just look at the audience of The Marvelous Marriage. It totally warmed my heart to see such a diverse shot of extras. Side note, is there a Bechdel test equivalent for people of color? There should be. It was cool that they basically made Charles and Sir a couple without it being a big deal, but the change of having the Baudelaires elect to go to the lumber mill instead of Sir being made their official guardian effectively makes Charles and Sir kidnappers, which leads to a little bit of weird gay coding with gay men historically being associated with kidnapping and abusing children. It's kind of like when the only people of color in movies are the villains. It's not great. There are two potentials for the series to get transphobic. One is Count Olaf dressing as Shirley for the duration of the miserable mill. But to my memory, absolutely nothing even bordering on problematic was said or done. He wasn't dressing that way to make fun of trans women or even women in general. It was simply another one of his disguises, and it kind of went along without comment. So, nice work. The other one is Count Olaf's androgynous hench person. Now, in the book, this person is repeatedly called the person who looks like neither a man nor a woman. But in the Netflix series, they're renamed the hench person of indeterminate gender. I don't know if this is purposefully non-binary inclusive, but it kind of seems like it is. The character is written and played in a way that's maybe kind of intentionally making fun of androgynous hipsters, but like, even if that was the intent, I still loved the character. They're like always saying real innocent or super radical things. Like when they went off on a rant about patriarchy and the hegemony of marital structures, my heart. I mean, overall, I loved the hench people. The hook-handed man was so good. Like in the book, at least for me, all these characters just blended together. Even after 13 books, I never really kept any of them straight. I probably couldn't list them all. But in the Netflix series, they really took the time to flesh each one of them out, give them their own personality, and I usually do not like villains or evil people, but I loved all of the hench people. And you know, I think that's kind of my biggest takeaway from the whole series. They brought the books to life truthfully, added some stuff from the larger universe, and really seemed to keep in mind what OG fans who are now adults would want to see. My only major complaint is that now I have to wait a whole year or more to see season 2. Give me the Quagmire triplets! Give them to me now! Oh no, I sound like Count Olaf. Crap. I implore you, turn off this video before it is too late. Our security has been compromised. Leave this vile, frightening disaster of a tale and find some other way to spend your time. But do not forget, the world is quiet here.